I am Rachel Rizzi, and this is
Brianna Augustin. Hello.
And we are going to talk tonight about the energetics of wealth. So just to give you a little bit of background on me, I am a certified holistic wellness practitioner. I have been in that space for about 5 years now. I have a couple of different mediums that I use, but my focus is on helping people learn how to metabolize emotions and move energy through their body.
I am actually in the financial services industry. I am licensed in life and health, and I'm actually on the route to becoming a financial advisor. And what I found are like a lot of people who I do work with, they're obviously interested in these products that we have, but they come with a lot of hesitancy. They come with a lot of fear. So I found that doing this inner work is absolutely imperative to actually expanding not just like the amount of wealth you have, but to be able to hold it as well. So that's actually why I've decided to partner up with her, because this is something that I believe everyone who's interested in actually building their wealth should actually prioritize as well.
I'm going to focus on more of the body aspect of it and holding the frequency and the energy of money in your body, of abundance and wealth in your body. And then Brianna is going to focus more on the mindset. So together, you'll have a mind-body kind of experience of what that could and should look like. So before I even move on to the next slide, I just want to ask, like, if I say the word wealth, what do you think of? A big piece of it is redefining, like, what does wealth mean? I think we as a society have focused so much on the money, on the material, on the status, on the power, on even greed for things that we don't even, and consumption of things that we don't even really want when we sit down and like actually think about it. I don't want to set this up to make it seem as if the thought process here is that money isn't important and you shouldn't focus on that, or doesn't need to be a factor, because it does. But I think what both of us share the same philosophy about is that it shouldn't control you, and that it is just a tool. Ultimately, money is energy, abundance is energy, and wealth is just a concentration of energy, right? So it's just how you are taking your energy and how you're focusing it, how you're leveraging it, and how you're using it to make all the things happen that you want to have happen. Time, freedom, time with family, friends, whatever that looks like for you. Energy, though, isn't stagnant, right? Energy is like water, like blood, like breath. It has to flow. And I think particularly around money and abundance, the way that most people speak about it, it's as if it's a destination that you get to and then you just hold it, right? But it's not meant to be like that, because it's energy and it has to flow. And the other missing piece of it when it comes to wealth and abundance specifically, that a lot of people don't understand, is that if your nervous system isn't regulated, we hold energy in our body. And if we agree that money and wealth is just an energy and is a concentration of it, but your body isn't ready to hold that, then you're going to end up with all these situations where you're having windfalls that disappear, you're losing opportunities, or you're overscheduling or overcommitting. Has anybody done that? Yeah, right? I'm a recovering hustleaholic. Some days I'm better at it than others. But what I'm finding now, and maybe it is that I'm getting older, maybe it is that I've seen how much better it is when I'm not focused on the hustle, that all of this now is like, you know what? I want to be able to hold my windfalls when they come to me. I don't want to miss out on opportunities because I'm so stuck holding on to something over here because it's known, it's safe, it's seen, it's what my conditioning says I should do, and my nervous system is scared to let it go. So for example, like you get an unexpected check in the mail, like a refund check of say $300 that you were not expecting, right? So you get that and you're like, sweet, I got $300. It's fun money. I wasn't expecting it. Now I can go do something cool that I want to go do. And then 2 hours later, a day later, you get a flat tire. And now that $300 pays for your flat tire, right? So it's, you have windfalls that come, but you can't hold it and use it and leverage it and grow it because your energy is stagnant. And so it gets redirected to low vibration energy that you're holding. If you win the lottery, and even if they still keep it, they can be so sad and so depressed because the people around them now only focus on the money. And when you have all the money, right? Think of how many rich people do you know, billionaires, millionaires, people who have no financial problem in the world, but are still deeply unhappy. They haven't done the work it takes in the nervous system to hold that, and because their definition of wealth is tied strictly to money, to material, to power, and they're not anchoring it into their nervous system. They're not anchoring it into the energy flow that has to happen to have the new definition of wealth. Has anybody ever heard of Dr. Emoto or his studies? He did a study with water where he took bottles of water and he wrote words on them. And some of the words were cool, like love, kindness, gratitude. And then some of the words were like fear, hate, anger. And what happens is that when you put those words and that intention on the water, it changes the molecular structure of the water. So the things that had the negative words on them, the water becomes structured in a way that looks like it's sick, like it looks like you would imagine a bug under a microscope would look like. But the water that had the good words, the gratitude, the love, they crystallize and they look like snowflakes, and they look like a different molecular structure. So when we are thinking about wealth, it definitely matters what our thoughts and intentions are, because those either turn the faucet, like our body, on or off. It makes it so that we can or cannot hold it, right? So I'll tell you, my maiden name is Dawson, and our family, we had a saying called the Dawson Cloud. And it was exactly that example I was telling you. We would get a raise or a bonus we weren't expecting. And I say we as a family because I was a child in this scenario. But what would happen is inevitably that money would come and then it would go, because the conditioning and the thought process of our family at that time was that the Dawson Cloud comes. So it doesn't matter how much money comes in, we always lose it because we were not energetically aligned and ready and able to hold it. Energy flows where attention goes, and you have to fully be grounded in that frequency. If there's even a part of you that thinks, oh, well, maybe, or you put it out there and you're like, okay, I'm going to be today, you're like, I'm so positive, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to manifest this. I feel so regulated and I'm so awesome and this is coming in. And then 6 hours from now, 8 hours from now, you have something come up that feels like, oh, nope, it's not going to happen for me. If that happens even a little bit, then you're not staying in that frequency that's going to bring it in. Does that make sense? So you have to truly be in a place where you are regulated enough in your physiology that when those things happen, it doesn't shift your frequency. Just like a container that holds water, if it's too small and we try to put too much water in it, right? What happens? It'll overflow. Depending on what it's made of, it might crack, right? From the pressure. It might be unstable. It might have spillage, right? Our energy is the same. If our physiology and our nervous system is not wired and designed and out of fight or flight mode to hold the frequency of that wealth that's coming, then the same thing happens to us. The body has to feel safe, steady, and spacious to receive all of that abundant and wealth frequency. Regulation is the key. And your nervous system has two states. You have your sympathetic state, which is constriction. That is what happens when you're in fight or flight mode, right? Ultimately, our fight or flight mode was useful when we were first, roaming the plains, hunters and gatherers, because we really needed it to be on all the time. That was how we survived. Now, life is not like that, right? So what are some of the things that stress you out today? Like, what stressed you out today? In your situations, are any of those people going to die? Are you going to die? But what happened is your nervous system was activated as if it was, yes. Right? So because we have to defend against that all day by being regulated in ourselves. And when we're not, that's when the constriction, the money leaks, the overgiving, all of that stuff happens, right? Okay. The opposite of that is parasympathetic state. So that's openness. That is capacity to receive. That is being able to direct your energy in a way that feels authentic and aligned. I am an overgiver. So whenever I feel like somebody's like, if there's tension, I'm like, okay, how can, I don't want to call it love bombing because it comes from a good place, but I'm like, how can I make the situation better?
Alchemize.
Alchemize. Yes. But in the end, though, that is not helping my nervous system and likely not helping theirs either, right? Because we get in the habit of trying to manage each other's emotions. I am infamous. My husband and I have been together for almost 29 years. And I have not one but two teenagers who love to not just step on my last nerve, but like tap dance on it. So I'm trying to regulate other people's emotions all day long. And sometimes that feels like it's easy. And sometimes it doesn't. And you know what the difference is? It's when I'm regulated. And if I'm regulated, then you know what happens? I don't work very much and money comes to me. Contracts come to me. Clients come to me when I'm in that place. When I'm really trying to hold on to something, when I'm really trying to focus on making something happen and manifesting it, you know what happens? Roadblock after roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. And so it's because my physiology isn't ready to receive. That's the key. Okay, so we're going to do a little calibration exercise. This is easy peasy, okay? So I want you to imagine that when you walk out of this room, I am going to hand you a $50,000 check. When I told you to imagine that I was going to give you a check for $50,000, how did you feel in your body? Happy? Did you feel happy? Relieved? Yeah. Okay. What about you? What happens if instead I was like, hey, when you leave here, you owe me $50,000 and I need a check for that on the way out? But how does your physiology feel? Did you, even though you know it's not true, did you go, your whole body is like, wait a minute. So that's how if you just look at something from a body standpoint, like whenever you're talking about money in any capacity or your definition of wealth in any capacity, do this little exercise and just tune into your body. Like, is your body feeling super tense because you're talking to a client who's stressing you out? Or are you able to just go, okay, you know what? I understand. You want things to be a specific way. We're going to do what we can to help you. Are you allowing that energy to flow through you? Or are you trying to hold on to it? Or are you trying to control it?
Can I add to that too? Yeah. So another aspect of that too is when you feel this in your body, it's important to address where in your body it's actually coming from too. If you're a person who believes in chakra, this is where this kind of aligns. Chakra is like, if you feel tension in your throat or in your hands, it's obviously your throat chakra, right? But if you feel it in your gut, right, that's your sacral. So if you identify where it's coming from, that'll also identify your wounds as well and what specifically you need to work on as well. So that's just a little tidbit.
I am going to leave you with just a couple of daily energy practices for you to start planting the seed, to start shifting your physiology, to be ready energetically to be in the place that you want to be, okay? And then we're going to switch. I recommend doing what is called the morning signal. So it's like one thing you can receive before you give to anyone else. So an example of this, my husband brings me coffee. Maybe it's not exactly the coffee I wanted, but he made it for me and he did it with love. So I'm going to receive that, right? Maybe it is that you have a meditation practice that you do for yourself before you do anything for anyone else. That is a form of receiving. It is setting the signal so that you are making sure that you're attending to the receiving, to the ability for your body to hold abundance before you give to other people. A circulation practice. I don't know about you, but when I'm really stressed about money, my tendency is to want to just hold on to it. One trick that I have used over the years is when I'm very activated in my nervous system and I'm very worried about money, is going and doing a random act of kindness for someone else that costs me at least $5. Because then I'm circulating the money and I'm taking the focus off of me. And when you do that, it makes it easy for you to have perspective. Because what happens when your nervous system is activated is the thinking part of your brain doesn't know the difference between there is a lion chasing me and I'm gonna die, and my client is stressing me out, right? Like your body doesn't know the difference between why the signal is being sent. It just knows that there's a signal. So if you get in the habit of taking the focus off of you and go and doing something for someone else. So this can look like things that I have done. I will go into the grocery store and buy a bushel of flowers and then either wait or if I see a single mom or a mom, maybe I don't know if she's single, but then go give her flowers. I've been at the gas station before and just tucked a 20 in the pump. So when somebody picks up the handle, there's that. I've gone to a bookstore and left notes in like a self-help book that's like, you're not broken, you just need recalibration, something like that, right? Like there's so many different ways that you can do it that don't cost a lot of money, but it's a great way to shift the frequency and the attention off of your physiology in a negative way so you can recalibrate and flip the script. That's how you practically stay in that frequency of, I'm going to hold this because that's the intention I created. So let me bring with awareness that openness, that ready to receive back. I used to intentionally not look at my bank account, all the unpaid things, and to have to figure out how I was going to make a living and feed my family for the next week. I didn't want to do all of that. So I had to shift my mindset and my thinking around a lot of that. And so whenever I pay a bill, no matter what it is, I say thank you. Just a good example, I have a swimming pool. I spent a lot of money on my swimming pool, and I am not a professional pool cleaner. So I hire someone to do that for me. And every time I pay him, I say thank you. Every time I check my bank account and see that there has been, my power bill is paid, I say thank you. Or if I have a client pay me or I close a deal, I pause to say like, thank you to them, but also to me, to the universe, to source, God, whatever you believe in. The biggest thing, and this is true for me, and it is something that I have tested over and over and over again in my adult life, but there has not ever been one time where I needed money and the universe didn't come through in some weird, unexpected way. So even if it's just reminding myself as I'm spending my last $50 on gas, you know what? The universe has got me. It's coming back. Just really practicing the pause before you do all of those transactions will help recalibrate your nervous system. So talking about mindset, now we're going to shift to Brianna and she's going to talk through that.
I love that you're talking about that mindset, specifically the habits that you created to sort of help you with that aspect. Something that I actually adopted is every time I go to bed, as soon as I lay down and my bed hits the pillow, I say thank you. And I go around my day, everything that I'm grateful for. And now it's like habitual. Now, not only do I do it right when I hit the bed, I do it throughout the day. And I realize this often, how protected I am and how grateful I am that I get to now serve other people in not only this way, but obviously in the financial services way. So just being in that space of gratitude, unfortunately, I'm not going to talk about it here, but that frequency of gratitude is probably one of the most important frequencies to learn, to hold, and to adopt. So debunking scarcity programming. So scarcity programming is a belief system rooted in lack, that there's never enough time, money, love, or resources. And what scarcity actually does is it obviously makes us fearful. It also can prompt hoarding, as we talked about with money, right? Overthinking, burnout, undercharging, people-pleasing, or shame around wanting more. But this actually comes from cultural roots as well. So we're talking about religion. This is just one of them, right? Religion. So for example, a lot of people in religious scriptures, they're taught being poor is holy and having money is sinful. This isn't what the scripture necessarily says, but this is the sort of translation that people often can think about it, you know? There's also the capitalist society, which tells us our worth is tied to what we produce. That's a huge one. Family narratives, these are the beliefs that are passed down to us. These are rules about money, success, or worthiness. And they're often not even our own. Obviously, they come from our family, and they come from what our family experienced growing up, right? So this can look like inherited phrases like, we're just not the kind of people who get ahead. Or unspoken money rules like not talking about income or hiding purchases. There's also modeling behaviors as well. So like parents arguing about money, or maybe they just won't talk about it at all, like it's a secret, like it's not something we all deal with on a daily basis. Or arguing about spending, or never celebrating financial wins. That's a huge one. So what is this impact though? So this actually shapes a person's baseline expectations of what's financially normal for them, which means it can create guilt and shame when you actually surpass your family in that sense when it comes to wealth. But it can also make abundance feel unsafe and like I'm out of place, I'm not supposed to be here. Instead of saying people like us don't get rich, we have to reframe that. Any negative thought, we have to reframe that, right? So instead of saying that, we can say my family did the best they could with what they knew. And I can honor them by expanding what's possible, right? The last one is trauma and culture, or survival culture. This is deeper. This is what Rachel actually touched on a little bit because it talks about the nervous system, right? But this is, like she mentioned, fight or flight. So spending impulsively, this is crisis decision making. Maybe I choose the fastest, cheapest option instead of actually planning out my meals because subconsciously I think when I go to grocery shopping, it's more expensive than going fast food, for example. Overworking, believing that rest will make you fall behind or lose stability. She's like, yeah, that one. Generational survival scripts. So a lot of people, for example, who are first generation, right? Their parents maybe came over here with less than optimal circumstances. So now they have stories of war, poverty, things of that nature that shapes their perspective and their reality of wealth and abundance, right? And the impact to the nervous system equates change with danger, even if the change is positive. Even if the change is positive. Long-term planning feels threatening because survival mode demands short-term thinking. I'm not going to be here long, so why plan for the future? To reframe this, instead of saying, if I stop working nonstop, everything will go to crap, we can say sustainable success comes from balance. Rest is a form of productivity that fuels inspired action. Okay. Now this next slide here, I'm going to say a phrase that's actually common in our society. And what I want you all to do is finish the phrase for me. Okay. Ready? Alrighty. So money is the root of rich people are. You must struggle to be. There isn't enough to. So these are very, very common phrases we are given through generations that impact how we actually hold and receive money, right? But instead of saying money is the root of all evil, we have to understand that, let me actually quote this because this is good. It's the love of money above all else that is corrupting. It's not money itself, okay? For rich people are selfish, wealth only amplifies who you are. It only amplifies who you are. Abundance can empower generosity, which is why it's so important for good people to be able to learn how to hold wealth. Okay? You must struggle to be worthy. Worth is not earned through exhaustion, it's inherent. Okay, you already come with it. It's who you are. You're naturally worthy, right? There isn't enough.
Can I just ask a question?
Absolutely.
So do any of you think that you have, like, if worth and struggle were tied together, that you would be super wealthy? Right? When that one hit home for me, when I saw that, I was like, ooh, yeah, like I have a PhD from the School of Hard Knocks. So if it was really the struggle, then damn, would I be wealthy right now, like financially.
Right. This last one is big. There's not enough to go around. And the shift in this is that there's actually so much. There's an abundance. The universe is ever giving. The universe is infinitely creative, and abundance regenerates. Okay? So from a young age, we're all taught, well, not we're all, but most of us, right? Those of you who actually respond and you're like, yeah, that one, you probably adopted these certain ideologies, right? And this is all rooted in essentially scarcity. There's more for you, essentially. What it's saying, more for you means less for me. That's the root, okay? But the universe is not a pie. There's not only 8 slices, okay? The universe, again, is ever creative, as are you. You are part of the universe. You are part of source, okay? So these beliefs are not truth. Obviously, they are inherited stories. And the good news is anything we learn, we can unlearn, okay? So this next slide, actually, I want us to take a couple minutes to actually dive deep into what it is we were taught. Specifically, I want you to ask yourself, and preferably I want you to write it down. Okay, it's important to get to the source of it. Otherwise, how can you address it and how can you move on? Okay, so the first question is, what have I inherited that no longer serves me? You can think to yourself, you can write it. What fears may I subconsciously hold around abundance and scarcity? From what you said, the privilege of having an example.
Yeah.
Representation is everything. Mm-hmm. If you lack representation, it's really hard for your mind to grasp the reality that this is real. You can create it.
We can't be what we can't see.
Right. The last question is, what do I want to believe instead? What is your next phase now? What do I want to believe instead? Does anyone want to answer? Now we're going to get on to redefining abundance. Abundance is the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. Okay, so money is only one form that abundance takes. But there are infinite channels. And sure, money can open some of those, right? But what other channels of abundance can we name? And we've already named a few, right? Friends, love, health, love it.
I'd say location freedom. If I want to travel.
Yeah.
Even the ability to travel.
Absolutely.
Honestly.
Yeah. There's also support. There's alignment or synchronicities. There's divine timing, resources.
Ooh, divine timing, that one's rough because sometimes you think you know better, right?
Right.
And then you hit a wall. And then I have a saying that is rejection is protection or redirection. And I had to learn that because like I'm trying to control it. I think this is when it needs to come. And in the moment it doesn't happen, I'm frustrated. But then 6 months later, I'm like, oh, thank God it didn't happen the way I wanted it to. Yeah. Because what happened was so much better instead.
Absolutely. So in those moments, I just ground myself and I say, I trust you, God, source, creation. I trust that you have a higher calling and higher purpose for me. And I let it go. Everything that I think I want really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things because I know there's probably going to be much more than I can even imagine, right? So there's divine timing, resources, imagination or inspiration, right? Rest. Good one. So now that we understand abundance, we know abundance is not a bank account number, right? It's about resonance, having the right support, opportunity, person, resources, insight at the right time. Now we're going to go into how do you align with the natural laws of the universe, source, God, creation, whatever it is, right? And manifestation, so you can experience more flow. You always have exactly what you need. So these principles actually come from, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of them, but Daryl Anka, he's actually a channeler. Or Abraham Hicks is another one that I love. So these principles, if you want to actually do more research, and if you take away anything, it should be this. Take this home and research it and learn how to actually grasp these concepts, because if you can grasp these, you're gonna be headed in a really good direction, okay? So 5 principles. This will actually help you dissolve scarcity conditioning and shift your vibration to allow reality to deliver what you desire, okay? They work in tandem with the idea that belief creates your experience, meaning when you live by these principles, you're programming yourself to see and receive the opportunities already in your field.
And okay? that isn't just like woo-woo. That's science. That's neuroplasticity. Like, you literally recreate your brain when you focus on those things. When you decide that you're going to keep with the belief and all of that, you're reprogramming your physiology.
Right. So this first one is about divine timing, as we talked about. When you believe you already have enough to take the next step, you start acting instead of waiting for the perfect conditions. So if you guys have a piece of paper, write this down, okay? Action in alignment, put an arrow, sends out a vibration of trust, another arrow, which magnetizes matching resources. This is so key. I need to write this down.
Your handwriting is so pretty.
Can you see that? Of trust?
Yeah.
Okay. Be a little wonky here. Which magnetizes matching resources. That's the key there. Okay. The next one, abundance can come in infinite forms. Energy flows through the path of least resistance. If your mind is locked on one narrow channel, you reject 90% of the ways your manifestations could arrive. So expanding your definition increases available routes for reality to match you. So every time you receive something unexpected, as Rachel was talking about, right? An insight, a tool, a favor, say this is abundance. This trains your nervous system to register and multiply these forms. And over time, it'll be habitual. You'll no longer go into that fight or flight. It'll be able to recognize, hey, this is abundance. I get to feel joy. And then you get to run with it and multiply. Does that make sense? Okay. Number 3, follow your highest excitement. So this is your inner compass toward alignment and flow. And this is probably, in my opinion, one of the most important ones. Okay, so your excitement is not random. It is your built-in guidance system, like a GPS, to the fastest route to your desires. It shows you where you're in highest vibrational alignment right now. So acting on the excitement immediately shifts your vibration to match the reality where that excitement is fulfilled. This collapses the gap between want and have. Your highest excitement is your inner compass. That's where your soul actually wants to go. even though consciously you may not be able to speak it out loud or actually make sense of it. If I am working with adults, but whenever I'm with kids, I light up, it probably means I should be working with kids, for example, okay? So your excitement is not random. It's there to show you where you're supposed to be going. You just have to feel it, know it, and walk towards it. Be willing to have the courage to say, hey, this isn't working, but my body, my soul is telling me this is, let's go, okay? Number 4, you are worthy simply because you exist. We've mentioned this, right? So no effort is required. Just being is enough. Worthiness is not earned, it's inherent. The very fact you exist means God, universe, source, already deemed you worthy. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. You really wouldn't be here, okay? If you believe you must prove your self-worth, you vibrate lack and push your desires away. When you already know you already are worthy, you allow reality to deliver without subconscious resistance. Okay, so I already am the version I need to be to attract all that it is that I want. Does that mean I don't have to do work? Absolutely not. I have to do work and attach it to the frequency of abundance, both in tandem. You need both. Number 5, let go of how, focus on what and why. The form is not your job. The feeling is your invitation. The how is the universe's or God's job. That's their job. Okay, the how is that, them, it. Okay, when you micromanage the delivery method, you create friction and you slow down the process. The how lives in a reality you haven't experienced yet. You literally can't predict it from your current perspective. Okay, so staying in the what, which is your vision, and the why, which is your emotional connection to it, keeps your vibration clean, so the universe can bring the most efficient, often surprising route. Okay, so you're the architect, the universe is the builder. Okay, you provide the blueprint, not the step-by-step construction schedule. You provide the blueprint, not the step-by-step construction schedule. So watch and catch yourself worrying about the how, pause, reflect, focus on what is the essence of the thing that I want. Why does it light me up? Okay, any questions on this slide? So feminine abundance versus masculine hustle. So I recommend taking a picture of this and looking at it later, seeing what actually resonates for you. So the left is distorted feminine, which is scarcity and unbalance. When you do get the time to look at this, go through which one of these do I resonate with. When I read it out loud to myself, do I feel something in my body? That's probably an indication there's a block there. Okay, this will get you to the root of a lot of your blocks here, okay? So this is scarcity feminine, this is scarcity masculine here. In the middle is aligned. Okay, so you wanna have a balance of both of these in the middle here, okay? So this is distorted feminine, aligned feminine. So we wanna move away from distorted feminine and go to aligned feminine. And we all have both masculine and feminine energies, okay? You have to grasp that concept first or else this is gonna sound crazy to you, okay? And then you have aligned masculine, distorted masculine. You wanna move away from distorted and move to aligned.
So you wanna live in these two, yes, right here.
In the center.
Yes.
Okay, you already are abundance, as I said. So when you stop chasing money and start cultivating energy, money becomes a natural consequence of your alignment. You are not here to earn abundance, you are here to remember it. You are abundance, you are source, creation, God. Not God itself, but like, you come from that, right?
So before my feet hit the ground, I have a practice that I do, essentially is like picking an intention for me. The same breathing exercise that we did in the beginning, I do a version of that that is for me specifically. It's a time that I decide, like, what do I want my day to be like, in theory. So, right, like, I'm human. I also have teenagers, and it is not always that teenagers love to be around their parents. So this receiving may look like my kid giving me a hug or a kiss in the morning and saying, I love you, because they're not grouchy for once. It can be snuggling with my dog, my little rescue dog who's super sweet, my husband giving me a coffee, right? So it's those kinds of things. And honestly, something that Brianna was talking about is how when you get in the mindset of noticing, when you pay attention, you're going to see how much you actually do receive that you don't think about. And a lot of times it is just noticing. So it may be a compliment. It may be even if it's just like a like on social media that somebody thought something you did was cool. Like you're going to actively search. Circulation practice, I gave you an example. I'm just a generous person by nature. So if I'm out somewhere, if I'm going to lunch, I'm paying. If I am getting a coffee, I'm giving a tip.
Circulation practice can also mean moving your body intentionally
that too,
as well.
Yes.
So I take 2 walks a day.
You don't want to act out of alignment with yourself, right? Like if it doesn't feel aligned for you to give that tip, then don't. But don't make that decision dirty your energy. So if you say, I'm standing on business and I don't want to give you a tip, cool, let that be your energy. And that's okay. All these things you need to do in alignment, or you're just going through the motions.
And that'll also help you too, that when you do decide to tip, then you can feel like, wow, this person really does deserve this. And you can feel that gratitude for giving as well.
So these circulation practices can be other things too. Like for example, if I have a friend who I know is having a bad day, just, hey, I'm thinking about you, love you, hope you're good. It can be referring business to somebody that you know. It can be giving a compliment to somebody. I mean, there's so many ways that you can give abundance that isn't tied to money, right? Again, it's actively seeking to find those opportunities. So that's how I might do it. And then the micro calibrations, I give you examples like, if I'm sending out a proposal and I don't think that I'm gonna close it, then I'm still gonna say thank you for the opportunity. If I am gonna spend money, I do it with a full energetic alignment. Just in general, if I find that my nervous system is activated, whether I'm spending money or not, because again, it's breath, it's energy, it needs to circulate, I will pause to try to realign myself. So if I've had even on the way over here, before everybody even got in the room, I was like, ooh, I just spent an hour in traffic and I'm feeling real stabby. So I'm gonna woosah before everyone else gets in here, right? So it's really just having intentional practices all day. And then the last thing I do before I go to bed, some people would call me a light worker. I don't know that I call myself that, but people all day long are like, hey, can you pray for this person? Can you send energy to this person? Or even if you just look at the news and you're like, 50 horrible things happened today that are all unprecedented, and I feel terrible about that, then I take time. That is my practice for other people. So I send gratitude out. It's a similar practice to what we did again today and what I do in the morning. I take time to send gratitude out to husbands, families, whatever, but also extended. Like, hey, there was a shooting and I feel terrible for other people. Or, hey, I saw somebody had a car accident on the side of the road and I don't know them, but I hope they're okay. So that's another way that I do it as well.
There's power in your intentions.
Yes.
There's power in your words. There's power in your thought process. There's power in you.
If you want to connect with me, this QR code will get you to a website where you can connect with me. If you want to connect with Brianna, you can do it that way as well. So I'll leave that up for a second in case you want it. I do offer this heart reset bundle. It's $99. For that, you get an assessment that you do. You get an ebook that helps you figure out what those assessments mean. You also get a session with me for about 30 minutes. And then if you practice for 6 weeks, you get another assessment so you can see with real-time data how your baseline shifts. And then Brianna has...
For me, I'm actually waiving the consultation fee to actually plan out your life and your future for you. Most financial consultants do actually charge for the plan itself, but that will be waived for you guys. You got to use this link though.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think that's it. Yeah. Thank you for your time.